Are we ready? All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. My name is Ruby, and I am a citizen of Regenera. And I couldn't be more happy to be here with you this evening, this afternoon, this morning. I mean, where are we? We're everywhere today. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a little bit about how I came to Regenera and how I came to be here with you today. Because I, like you, have lived many, many lives. And I am here today to welcome you into the light of your current irrevocable birthright. So, be you a citizen or be you a curious friend, I and many have traveled the seas of the subtle realms to be here with you, our metaphysical kin. Now, you may ask, is this about masks and dreams? Is this about the things you've been in the last, let's say, 10, 15, or 20 years? Or is it about who you've always been? Maybe it's about the butterfly inside. Maybe it's about the dream you haven't even thought of. So, I will tell you soft and I will tell you clear that I, through all the millennia, have been a language dancer. Now, you may ask what that is, and so I will share that in your world, in this world, our shared world, that means I'm a poet. Now, however, in our circle of the cosmos, we understand that above all else, this makes me, and perhaps you here today, a weaver. What does that mean? So, like I said, you and I have lived many lives. And you, like I, might be having a hard time thinking about how we fit in or why Regenera is so important. And it's important for so many reasons. One of them being that when we first landed, we had no idea that you were up to so many things. You see, the world was so busy and the lines of communication so fraught that we somehow almost missed you. It would have been terrible. It would have been silly. But here we are, kith and kin together again. So let's erase our minds of titles and concepts. Let's forget every single thing we think we are. And let's just get comfy together. I am coming to you from a very secret location. And I know that all of you are coming from all these many locations. But for just a little while, forget everything else and be here in Regenera with Ruby. Release all the worry and call in everything you have ever been, every life, every dream, every moment, and call it in with a smile. Yes, let's just smile a moment before we go any further. So, as you smile and as you sit there, you might again ask, why exactly did Regenera take place? And the fact of the matter is that we already figured out it just simply had to exist. Because you see, you were all doing your best, and we were all doing our best. But maybe that was the problem. You see, we were all stuck in systems of trying, and that sounded a lot like crying. And somewhere along the way, the do, 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 got lost. And so we, your faraway family, and you, the right here family, we got together. Not like parents and teachers, not like, older siblings. No, like equals. We all popped into the ship and we all set sail because we knew we had to lose the crying and we really had to get in to the do 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 do. I'm not a singer. So sit back and relax. Though we have lots to accomplish, we need a moment. And I'm here to remind you, to remind myself, to remind us all of something. So, this thing may seem tiny, but it is very real. In a sense, this is the key to it all. So, you see, in your eye, if it's closed or open, the eye of reminding, the eye is only found in remembering, in the return to the sense of it all. Today we are here, you and I and all the others, for what we do here will splash out into the infinite oceans. Relax, relax, relax. Sit back, close your eyes, because we are going for a bit of a dive. So here we will stand at the tip of a long, steep cliff. Now go ahead, breathe in, breathe out. Now, wearing nothing but trust, you can continue to breathe on your own. Push your feet to the ground and pull up with your head. And on you go to the next breath. Let go, let go, let go. Yes, breathe in and hold. Yes, breathe out and hold. Let go. Into the blue, green of the spray, into the salt and into the wave, into the flow and the ebb. Do you feel it? You're floating. Now we get into the water. Deeper and deeper we go. No eyes, no sounds other than these. We are carried, we are moving, and somehow we flow. We feel the push and the pull. We feel the wet, and we know ourselves through the pressure. Melting to the very bottom of the sea, you have slipped, you and me. We let go. We breathe in and out, under the water. And somehow we find we are buoyed about. Slowly we rise to the top. We float to the sun, find ourselves still floating along, covered in warmth. We turn our hearts onto the star. We have no sense. We have no worries. We move, we do, we do. We be. We are swimming. Up and around in columns of light, we wash upon the higher shore, our arms and legs outstretched, restored. We breathe in and we breathe out. We take in the day, exhale the doubt. We move from rock to sand. We make our way through these legs. We find the feeling new. We find we move. We go until we stop a moment. We pause with gills wide open. We feel the same despite the change. We understand only the names have changed. No on ground, still we are swimming, fin to foot, stem to jowl. We remind ourselves, eye ourselves, claw, wing to hoof ourselves. We taste our mouths, we move our eyes, we remind ourselves. We wiggle our ears, and suddenly we find we climb a mountain. Find and pull down some fruit. We remind ourselves as we draw the lines up the trail. Do you still have a tail? Did you hear a song? In the distance, we hear a voice. The land grows dry, the air grows hot. In the distance, we hear a choice. The air grows thin, the climb is steady. We breathe in, we breathe out. We hear in our eyes a calming light. We see in our eyes, we see in our eyes that voice. Rising inside, we climb, like vines of magnificent trellises. We continue to rise with necks and shoulders and hips, green and supple. In the distance, we know that voice, our voice, inside and outside, a breath, a chorus. As finally we sit at the top, and once again we remember ourselves. You remember yourself. You are ascending, and yet you are the clouds. You are ascending into yourself. You are ascending into yourself. You are the grass and its scent. You are teasing your own nose and touching your own skin. Ashes to ashes, fin to foot. You are rising, you are walking, climbing, sitting, you are swimming, you are still to this day the waxy green leaves. You are still to this day the river, the streams. You are looking, you are twisting and slipping forward. You are making yourself a brook of sights. You are babbling, twisting and slipping, babbling beauty. You are flowing. And you are the hero of the story. You are the first squeal, the first truth, the first laugh. You are the first finger tracking lines in the sand. You are the siren and you are the sailor. You are the feather and you are the wing. You are the key to the secret of myth. And after all this, right now, you are the first kiss in 500 million years. You are swimming. You are swimming. You are swimming. You are the click of gold, the rush, the sound. You are the dream of the artist. You are the art. You existed before weights and measures. You are unstoppable motion. You are swimming, and I am next to you. You are here now, next to me, rising and falling. In the sea of muscle and teeth, in the waves of time and belief, we breathe in and out. We breathe and out slowly but surely. We return together to yourself, to ourselves, to the world, to the seas beyond the visible shores, to the heights without limits, as we have done for 500 million years and more. So let's open our eyes and come back, smile wide. We are done with our dive, returned from the climb. each of us, all of us, siblings of the Regenera. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to your Regenera. You're here for at least 500 million more years. Make them good. Big hugs and cosmic kisses. See you in the tide pools. And don't forget, this isn't about the try. This is about the do, 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 do. So if anybody wants to say anything, you can just turn off your mute and put on your voice. If you feel like breathing out, breathe out. Yes. I'm so happy to hear you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening our eyes of remembrance.
We forget. We've been so taught to forget. Thank you for remembering with me. Oh. Did anybody remember what it was like to have a fin? Could you imagine? Could you remember what it could be like to have wings? Maybe we can do this again.
Yes, please.
I feel like all I can say, make our bird noises right now.
Could you make one?
Caw, caw.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, you are.
Oh.
Ruby, I think I painted you.
Did you?
Yes.
Just now?
Well, it's a painting I did a few years ago, but I just recalled her, and now my other painting wants to actually be recognized. Oh, it's not coming. Hold on.
Bring her up, bring her up, bring up your paintings, bring them out to the world.
Saw that. She was just making a scene in the background there.
Oh, right? Like, where'd
That was
she go?
cool. Oh, there she is. Hey, girl. Hey. Coming out of the Ruby. This is you, Ruby, seeing yourself.
Yes. I am so happy. I might have to hide a little. I don't know. It's so good. I'm just in love with it.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wait, I don't have your name. What's your name?
My name is Alicia.
The magic Alicia. I hope we'll have chances for everyone to get to know the magical Alicia.
And I have a mermaid tail and wings.
Perhaps the next Ruby party will have to be one exclusively for mermaids. And for anyone who is not comfortable or doesn't have yet found their tail, we'll just have to help them. How does that sound?
That's right. There's a tail for everyone.
Yes.
That was such a delight.
Oh, that was so much fun for me. It's been a long quarantine, and this is a really nice remembering. Yeah. We've made it through so much, and we'll make it through so much more. The regenerative resilience is here. I believe it 100%.
Yeah.
We're gonna be fine.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's like Rocker T's lyric earlier today, and he said, I know we're gonna make it as long as we're doing our best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah, and we have another beautiful sister here to share some ancient wisdom of remembrance with us today. A sister that I met a few years ago, painting together. And Alexandra, Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my great pleasure to be here, and even greater pleasure to be with a fellow painter
Yes. Yes.
as we can explore together what it takes to create something out of nothing on a blank sheet, on a blank canvas.
Right. Yeah. I like,
And
go ahead.
and I'm very aware that as artists, we express different urges, different needs. Not all of us are coming from the same place. But maybe that's why we need each other even more
Mhm.
as an orientation
Right. And
reference.
that's what your work focuses on, right? Is cross
Exactly.
pollination, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just want to share really fast that you are a visual artist dedicated to this cross pollination across diverse disciplines of visual arts, dance, economy, policy, ecology, ancient and modern streams of wisdom, and of course, my favorite, the profound insights of the I Ching.
Wow. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to continue reconnecting across time and space and trusting that the universe conspires to shower us with blessings and there is greater wisdom and greater underlying order in the universe. So that's where we're going to go.
Take us there, girl. Yeah.
Thank you. So for me, I guess each artist has their own path. I was fortunate, or perhaps even unfortunate, to start my art education with very classical art education, where we were drawing plaster cubes for 10 or 20 hours, and then we were drawing plaster skulls for 30 or 40 hours, and very much attempting to emulate the classical artist education model. And I grew up in Ukraine, and that structure on some level was very, very comforting because there seemed to be clear stepping stones. And yet at the same time, even though on some level under the Soviet system behind the Iron Curtain, it was very much dedicated to rigidity, to keeping anything new and anything disruptive out. At the same time, being an artist, going to an art school, the idea of novelty, that as artists, we are here to create something new and different. It was still permeating everything, even though all of us were drawing the same skulls or the same still lives or the same uh, portraits, and the education very much consisted of, about doing it right, whatever our teacher's idea of right was. So this idea that creating something new is ultimately what we are here for is so deeply permeating in everything that I've done. And it was very interesting what happened after we graduated from this very, very rigid schooling. A lot of my classmates arrived at a place like, whoa, I don't know what to do because I don't have a teacher telling me to draw a skull or to paint a still life. And I was very, very fortunate because somehow I love pen and ink, and somehow I kept drawing without thinking, just letting it spill out. And somehow that gave me a path to allow for something to emerge out of the unknown. And then I was even more fortunate because the crack in the Iron Curtain has opened, and I ended up in Boston and I became a student at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts. And I don't know if they still run their school that way, but at the time I was a student, there were no required courses. You did not need to declare a major. They might recommend certain courses based on your individual. You got a group of advisors that were looking at all the work that you presented. They didn't care if you did the homework as long as at the end of the semester you brought enough artwork to show that you've actually been creating art. So this complete and total lack of structure was on some level a balm for my soul, and on the other level, it's so easy to get lost. And then, of course, as a new immigrant, I desperately needed some structure. So I continued on to study economic policy and found a great joy and relief in that. I could lean on my skills in mathematics. And at the same time, also being aware, somehow it was obvious to me that economics was more of an art than a science, even though it was using numbers. So that's what carried me through. And then as I came back to art, my work, like a seeking for that novelty, I discovered great joy in fluid acrylics, where I could just pour the paint onto the canvas and just see what's going to emerge. And yet, in this lack of structure, I guess being willing to look wherever we go, wherever inspiration, wherever that loose paint would take me, I recognized at some point that it's so easy, at least for somebody who creates in the way I do, by just starting something and allowing it to take me wherever it's going to take me, that getting lost was pretty much a common occurrence. And then I was extremely fortunate. I also been fortunate to study dance for most of my life. So at the same time, I have also been dancing. And actually, one of my movement teachers, his name is Dylan Newcomb, he introduced me to the I Ching through a movement discipline called Uzazu, and I will be offering a 90-minute introduction to Uzazu workshop as part of our grand celebration week. So please come. We don't know yet at what time that's going to be, but it'll be sometime during this week. So we'll get a chance to move together and discover I Ching the way I discovered it, through movement. So all of a sudden, I realized that there is a map through which you can map everything. And there is a little bit of a confusion because for us Westerners, when we say I Ching, most people think that these are the 64 ancient Chinese poems that were written about 3,000 years ago, or I guess they don't know for sure when exactly. But for me, I Ching is actually going deeper. It's not the poems. The poems are fabulous. It's a wise person 3,000 years ago attempted to put into words inexpressible. That's why I admire poets so much. They use words for that which cannot be expressed in words. I'm in absolute awe how they do that, but that's a gift. I guess they're allowing it to flow through them. For me, I Ching is the 64 hexagrams. And hexagrams means 6, and they are sequences of 6 lines, either broken or solid lines. So to those of us who are computer savvy or who have had at least of a little bit of computer theory, I will translate this into modern lingo, and I hope that would make it a lot more accessible. So in this modern computer theory lingo, I Ching is a 6-bit binary code. Or to translate it into even simpler computer language, is that it basically posits that everything in the manifest universe can be expressed through sequences of zeros and ones. Zeros, except we don't call them zero when we talk about I Ching, we call them yin, and the ones we call them yang. So basically there is a simple decision, either on or off, either dark or light. And if we keep zooming in, everything can be mapped out to it. So all of a sudden, I was no longer lost. I had these amazing map. And even though here we are interacting in this digital medium where there are tons, gazillions of zeros and ones running in the background making this possible, I decided to go analog and use my whiteboard to go through that journey where somewhere, like in manifestation, in creation of polarity, the light and the dark co-emerge and co-create each other. And us Westerners, we tend to think of a big bang, of like, boom, something happened and the light emerged. And from there on, action continued bubbling up. But in the ancient Chinese mythology, the conversation is much gentler. It's like, over time, the lighter elements have floated upwards and the darker elements had floated downwards. And so light and dark have congealed, and all of a sudden we have these two forces. So here it is. We have the field of dark, and of course the field of light on the white. I cannot easily draw it. But as the two have separated, as that initial act of creation had happened over time, and as these two continue co-creating each other, the broken line denoting yin, denoting dark, divides into more dark and less dark. So here we have yin, yin, here's yin and here's yang. And this becomes yin, yin, and this becomes yin, yang. And then the yang divides also into the less bright, into the yang, yin, and the more bright. And then, of course, guess what happens next? The yin, yin also divides into more yin and the less yin with just one line of yang. So after 3 steps, we have 8 trigrams. And to make us humans to keep easier track of all of this, the ancient Chinese sages mapped them out to the elements, to heaven and earth, water and fire, and made 8 of them. And as we double up the trigrams, we get 64 hexagrams. But 64, the 6th bit, refers to 6-dimensional universe, and that's pretty tricky for our human brains to keep track of. So I keep coming back to just the basic 2-dimensional space. There is one axis that goes from yin into yang, from off into on, or from self into other, right? From home into outside. So there is one axis, and then there is a second axis that also goes from off until on. And all of a sudden we have a 4-phase cycle. And the easiest way to relate to the 4-phase cycle, which I think brings it back to being a simple human and not something that's too far beyond our grasp, is winter, spring, summer, and fall. So everything has the rest cycle, and then there's spring as it goes up, and then there's flourishing, the vibrancy of yang, of active co-creation. And then, of course, there is the harvesting, wilting, and going back into the rest cycle. So what I propose what I use for myself to help me navigate difficulties whenever I get confused about something is, chances are I'm missing one of these 4 elements. Chances are, and as Westerners, it's so easy to prioritize the active. And guess what? The active is the visible. And the inactive, the yin, by definition, it's the dark, it's the invisible, it's the receptive, that is the space which receives all the action. And right there in the I Ching cosmology, it says yin before yang. For any kind of action, for any kind of creation to happen, it's important that there is the space into which that action moves. So on some level, resting and renewing and creating space is far more essential for the action to happen, because unless there is a space, the action will not move into it. And I myself constantly forget. I myself constantly tend to fall into like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. And yet I feel if this very simple message that everything that's living has beginning, middle, and end, and it also has the rest and renew. Just remembering that, yes, the 3-part is also important, but that one is important in a different way. And I attempted to portray it here, that every single one of these phases could have the Goldilocks aspect. And if we remember the Goldilocks tale, the little girl tries out the porridge, and this one is too hot, right? This one's too big. This one's too cold, and one is just right. So absolutely each element has these levels of intensity. So 3 and 4 are both important, but for the completeness of the cycle, that that off switch where we turn off, or in terms of plants in a 4-season climate, they die off, they go on the ground, they decay, they renew, they allow for the new life to spring up from being nourished and well rested. So the moment I discovered this and I realized that anything and everything can be mapped to it, that had given me great hope. And I have been now mapping all of my work to these 64 hexagrams. I teamed up with a poet. You know, I'm an off poet. Her name is Svetlana Pritzker, and she wrote 64 poems, and I created 64 images. So I have a deck of cards attempting to portray these patterns through combination of words and geometric shapes. And also me and Svetlana have been working with the 8 elements, and we're working on a book that has some coloring sheets for these 8 elements. This one happens to be thunder, which is growing through disruption. It's important to let go and allow things to break up and fall apart. And as we continue exploring the richness of the I Ching, we realize that, wait a moment, it's a 6-bit code referring to a 6-dimensional universe. We need to relate to each one of these lines because it really matters which position it is. A yin line at the bottom is very different than a yin line at the top, or the yin line in the 2nd or 3rd position. So we are in the process of creating 6 decks of cards. And our second deck is this is one of the images from it, has creatures, has insects, has sea creatures, has birds, has animals, dealing with the emotional realm, relating to the fears that we experience. And of course, each one of us has potentially like each one of us has access to each one of these 64 patterns. It's just some of them are more prominent in any moment than others. And we can go in different ways around how to figure out which one is acting this very moment. And the most simple ancient ones, of course, we can cast I Ching using traditional methods, either with 3 coins or with grains of rice. Or we can just get a deck of cards and pull out a random card and see what is here for us in this moment. And this one is hexagram 43. And it's about honoring the not knowing to foster insight. For something to be truly new, we have to allow ourselves to go into the unknown, to go into the place that's so scary. But because I believe that I Ching offers us a map of those things which we cannot see and which we cannot grasp, having a map makes traveling into the unknown far less scary. So anytime any anxiety comes up for me, I turn back to the I Ching. I might just use a book, and there's a beautiful modern I Ching called Gene Keys, open on a random card. This one is definitely the most intense version, but I love all of them. I love Carol Anthony. And for me, that's had been a great solace. And as one of my friends said, don't you want to tell absolutely everyone about the I Ching, about the fact that everything in the manifest universe can be mapped out by one of these 64 patterns? And one other person who is really doing beautiful work on reinterpreting I Ching through this lens is Spring Chang, and she has a book called The Resonance Code, where she's translating it more from this perspective. And I'm so hopeful that this way of making sense of the complexity will become available to more people, and people will find as much solace and comfort in it as I have, given that my tendency is just to surrender into chaos and get lost.
Amazing. I'm just ordering my Infinite Flow deck right now.
Awesome. Yes. They're my great source of comfort. I pull one out, and here's another one, 14.
I can't wait.
This one's about competence, is letting go of the half-heartedness. No, this one's not half-heartedness, compromise. It's the shadow of compromise and finding our inner competent self. And each one of us has it. And that's what is being called for at this moment for me. So I feel very
Well, when
blessed.
you mentioned the shadow, I'm wondering, did you also pull inspiration then from the Gene Keys?
Yes. Oh, definitely, definitely. The Gene Keys
Yeah,
is the Bible of the modern I Ching
right.
level.
Yeah.
Definitely very, very powerful. And the mapping of the animals does come from the Gene Keys lineage as well. It's called the Dream Arc, and more people in the Gene Keys community are starting to work with these fabulous creatures.
You know, a friend of mine he was the one that made the Gene Key deck that
Oh,
is the hexagonal cards.
yes, of course, Elijah.
I love that deck so much.
Yes.
And then actually Stroopy just mentioned absolutely wonderful. Would really love to see those symbols and images on hexagonal cards. Hexagons and hexagrams would go so well together.
Yes.
Also wondering how the I Ching would map onto the six edges of the four eyes or the six corners of the eight eyes. Is that what you meant to say, Stroopy?
There's
Yep,
definitely great
that's the
beauty in the geometry of the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 6 and the 8 and of course the 64. We're thinking about like the ultimate, and we are some distance away to create a set of 64 cubes, each one having a
Ooh.
different face. So
Wow.
the animal images are almost complete. I have all 64 of them painted. I don't have all 64 of them photographed yet, but they'll probably be released by the end of the year.
Awesome. Cannot wait to get my hands on those as well. And I would love to hook you up with my friend as well and see what kind of cool collaborations could come out
Yeah,
of.
Elijah is a great leader in the Gene Keys
Oh,
community.
good. Oh, good. You know him then. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I had some very amazing overlaps in time and space with him and with Bina. Did you also know Bina?
No, not personally.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
I
there
came
was some
into the
amazing.
scene a little later than that.
Yeah, there's some amazing, amazing synchronicity and magic that has come into the world through the Gene Keys, and I'm thrilled to have a way to bridge, to connect, to somehow navigate through the sea of the unknown, and this is a fabulous tool.
Yeah, it is. It has been a huge ally for me, actually. I used to use a tarot deck very religiously, and then it was like mysteriously disappeared. And I had this this heartbreak. I had this like heartbreak from my deck being like just disappearing. You know, it was
Wow.
il a disparu. And then the Gene Keys came to me as like a wisdom, but then I discovered the deck, and then that was really like my, you know, it was an ally to help me kind of getting back into that form of oracle. And then I learned a lot more through that deck, of course, about the Gene Keys, you know. So yeah, I love the idea of your deck too. I cannot wait to have it on my altar. And I love listening also to you speak about this because it's so integrated into your personal like understanding, and that the wisdom flows through you so nicely. It's very digestible and really enjoyable to hear. And I would love to listen to you for much longer. So
Thank you. Maybe you can come to the Uzazu workshop because we'll move
yeah.
through the four-part flow using our bodies. That's what gave me comfort to dive into the complexity of the Gene Keys, is because I had this secret weapon in my back pocket. I knew I could use my body to relate to them.
Yeah. Yeah, an embodiment anyways, you know, right? Like that
Yeah.
the embodiment of the feeling and the manifestation of that. And awesome, awesome. And great job, Alexandra. I am a big supporter of yours, and I just love your work so much, visually and intellectually. So thank you so much for sharing with us today, and really looking forward to that workshop too. Can you tell
Right?
us when that will be?
I don't know because the schedule is still in flux.
Nudge, nudge. Well, we'll be sharing it on the public schedule, and we'll also
Yeah.
share it on the Vision Train social media. So any of you guys out there watching that might be
Yes,
curious,
I am
yeah,
eager to have it scheduled so that we can start telling everyone to
yeah,
come and move with us
yeah,
through the 4 quadrants of the foundational I Ching map.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Looking forward to it.
Oh, great pleasure. I'm so thrilled to be here with you.
Yeah. And up next we have Stephen Bao. Stephen, welcome again. He's been here with us from the start as well. Stephen Bao is a theory of everything. Stephen is a designer who is exploring the evolution of design from physical artifacts, entropy machines, to living systems, syntropic organisms. Really looking forward to hearing what you're going to share with us, Stephen, and your
Thank you
theory.
so much. Thank you, Alicia, for that introduction. And so what I've been working on has been something that's been in progress for, well, really a few decades at least. But something really started to come together a couple years ago, just before the pandemic. And it seemed to be interesting timing. It was something where I was starting to think about how design had been evolving over the 3 decades of my career as a designer. So I started as a graphic designer, and over the years, I've tried corporate communications and web development and web design, and eventually found myself in the realm of mentorship for people who are shifting into their career as designers in the user experience design space. So that's what I'd like to sort of start as framing how we're shifting from a way of thinking about design as these artifacts, these things that we produce, product design, or creating brand identities for corporate communications. And actually what we are starting to do more and more these days is, and we can see it all around us, we're creating social systems. And because of that, well, there needs to be maybe a shift in the way we think about how we train designers, how we think about who designers are. And so these days I'm wondering, well, I'm listening to podcasts like 99% Invisible by Roman Mars, and he's exploring how design is really everything a human touches. And if that's the case, then aren't we all designers as human beings? And maybe let's expand the circle even a little bit further than that. Are we not all as living beings designers? And what's a living being? So the question of where that circle needs to be drawn just seems to be changing all the time as we're shifting our ideas about what's alive. We thought, sometimes that the plants and animals, that we're sharing this earth with, well, they're not really sentient. They might have some sort of autonomic systems working, or they seem to have some sort of function that is only really to serve human beings. But really, it's almost akin to thinking that maybe the earth is at the center of the universe, to think that human beings are at the center of the experience of being alive in this universe. And so that's where I'd like to invite people into thinking about, well, what does it mean to be on spaceship Earth? Like what Buckminster Fuller was saying. He wrote a book called The Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth, and recognizing that at the time, they were going through this process of sending someone to the moon, sending groups of people to the moon. And there's this moonshot, right? And out of that came this idea that Bucky had of, well, if you can contain the living systems to maintain the ability for these life forms to go into this tin can, into space, maybe there needs to be a manual for how we actually do that. How do we operate this spaceship, that we actually are on? This thin film of life on this spaceship Earth that's just spinning around within the universe. But it got me to thinking, well, even before we think about a manual for spaceship Earth, that seems pretty big, a daunting task. Can we create a cooperating manual for being human? I know I needed one. I wish I had one, when I started as a kid, or just figuring out how do I live on this planet and make sense of what my place is in this universe. And so maybe that's how I can start with sharing about what I've been creating. And it feels like what I've come up with is almost, let's see if I can remove the sidebar here. There we go. So what I've created is an actual cooperating manual for being human. So this is my print project, and I can share the file with you eventually, but for now, I'll just walk you through what I've created. So it's a project of the Builders Collective. I'll let you know what that is, but I've shared a little bit about it today. But this really came out of my experience as being part of the Design Science Studio, where I've been exploring, how do I connect to myself? How do we connect to each other? How do we connect to the earth so we can build a world that loves itself? And I'm borrowing this language from Veronica Anderson because I love it so much, that idea of building a world that loves itself, understanding the inner and outer architecture. So we have this sense that, okay, we're in this design science decade, and we have, we're into 2 years already into thinking about how are we going to manifest this world that works for 100% of life. And what I've been finding is this phrase keeps on coming up in the Design Science Studio around, well, we come in with our own individual projects and then realize, actually, we've come into this space to realize that our project matters a lot, but it's actually part of the bigger project of what we're doing together as a design science studio to manifest the design science decade. And so the journey is the destination and the community is the project. And I was thinking about the process of how do we onboard people into this process through curiosity, connection, care, collaboration to create a community. And we're using all these tools, social media, websites, application forms, email notifications. It gets to be a lot of these technologies. And I was thinking, well, what about the technology of just being human? How do we think about that? How do we onboard people into that experience of being human? And so part of this process has been being invited into these design sprints where we've been exploring these ideas together. How do we think about collaboration principles? And it's been a struggle just to come up with, like, what are those principles? And it was a bit of a rush and a push to have this ready for this event. And these are the things that I came up with just from looking at our mirror boards and other input that we've had throughout the year, there's something about these hexagons that have, come up through the other presentations. The way we connect things using the geometry that nature's using. And so what I'm showing here is a hexagon of 6 colors around one, interbeing at the center, mindfulness, empathy, and compassion form one triangle. And another triangle is formed by curiosity, creativity, and play. So that formed a way of thinking about, well, how does that map to the way we think about human experience, as maybe drawing inspiration from the UX design space, that's the user experience design space, where Jesse James Garrett has a presentation called Design for Engagement, where he talks about how we need to understand the materials that we're working with. And if we're designing for experience, what are those different aspects of that human experience? And he divided it into mind, heart, body, and senses. And that actually can be expressed in another way through cognition, emotion, action, and perception, as a way of understanding how experience can be shown to be these 4 parts. So interesting that it sort of forms a tetrahedron if we were going to put this in kind of 3-dimensional space, or 4-dimensional if we were going to refer to Bucky's coordinate system of the universe. So if we think about Bucky as well, the way he was thinking about, well, what is the impact of one human being on the experience of life? How does one person have this impact in the universe? And he was thinking about a trim tab. And this is related to the idea of navigating a ship through the waters. So this led me to thinking about navigation principles, how we use the mind as a tool for mapping. How do we remember the past? And this becomes a map of how we can maybe use the past as a way to move into the future. And then how do we navigate into the future? We haven't been there before. We have to have some sort of proprioception in a way of the future. So we kind of feel into the future, but we're always in the present. We're moving in the flow of the present. And the way we reorient ourselves to the changes that are going around, all around us, are noticing the contrasts, sensing the changes, and reorienting based on how things are changing, whether the weather's changing or the waves are getting higher. So then I was also thinking about how we use emotions as a way of kind of exploring the instrumentation of being human. Emotions are instruments for sensing reality. And there's, interestingly, a lot of these ideas maybe are drawing from what Alexandra was talking about with the I Ching, the polarities, the negative and the positive, the feminine, the masculine, the light, the dark. All of these I was weaving into a way of understanding emotions. And I know it's small, so delve into that when you've got access to the PDF file, because there's a lot of information there. But then now we're thinking about space-time. How do we navigate space-time if we're integrating the physical sciences with maybe the metaphysical experience of being human? Now, I say metaphysical because they're beyond what we can measure usually, what we can quantify, what we can put a number to. So trying to put a measurement to mind and heart and body, time, energy, and matter might be quantifiable substances of reality, but we haven't unlocked consciousness quite yet. And so here's where I was starting to think about the inner architecture of how we understand how everything is connected, to the mind being the way we vision into the future based on the past, or how we use the heart as the center of our emotions and our will. Body gives us the ability to apply effort into applying vision and will into physical reality. And then we have intuition, intention, intuition, and interbeing as a way of focusing our time, energy, and matter into what kind of things do we apply our effort towards. So it made me start thinking about now how this molecule of the individual starts connecting to what is purpose, what is caring, what is meaning, what is making, what is belonging, what is learning. And they seem to also connect to these parts of being human. So mind is vision supporting learning. Heart is the will supporting caring. Body, effort supports making. And in the same way, there's this process of time applied to matter through the energy of living systems. We turn intention into purpose. We turn intuition into meaning, interbeing into belonging. So then we start getting into emotional integrity, where curiosity starts connecting those things like learning with purpose. Empathy connects purpose with caring. Honesty connects caring with meaning. Creativity connects meaning with making. Generosity connects making with belonging, and intimacy connects belonging with learning. So we're going full circle. But now we get into physical integrity. Well, what about the physical body? How does everything connect to who we are physically? So what I was seeing was, I'd go to Wikipedia and recognize, well, there's 12 basic systems in the human body. Well, that's interesting. Do they actually map to anything? And as I started linking things up, it seemed like there's a pattern here. That mind is connected to the nervous system, seeing, curiosity connected to the sensory system, all the way through lymphatic, endocrine, cardiovascular, respiratory, musculatory, integumentary, which is the skin, and all these outer surfaces of the body, as well as the skeletal system, the urinary system, digestive system, reproductive system. Then how does that actually connect to the social systems that we're a part of? So I was drawing from the ideas of Kate Raworth's donut economics and recognizing, well, there's 12 sectors in her ideas of what are those main ways of thinking about the social environment that we need to take into account, as well as the planetary boundaries that we're crossing in our economic system. So then it connected to these other categories, learning and research, connected to the nervous system. So I was finding this to be really intriguing to see all these connections. Can we go even further to the size of the planet? Well, here I get a little, a little more subjective with things, because this is going into the way I was raised as a Christian in a church community, where I was learning about Genesis 1, and there's these stories about how the world was created in 6 days. And what I was noticing there was, again, a pattern that never really came up in sermons, but through my readings of the text, I came up with the number 3 kept on coming up. And I was wondering, well, Trinity, where does that come from? The word Trinity doesn't come up in the Bible. But there are some things, there's regular patterns that kept on coming up in the way the stories were being communicated. Like a 3-day journey into the desert, or destroy this temple and I will raise it again in 3 days. And whenever I'm thinking about theology, I'm always going, well, they teach you that to understand the days or the number 3, you always go back to the first instance, and the first chapter of the Bible referred to these 3 days, and it happened to be 2 sets of 3 days. They always use the same pattern: light, water, land, and then vegetation. Light, water, land, human beings. Interesting. Okay, so what I did here was build in a progression from light to physics, chemistry, biology to water, which gave rise to the ability to go into psychology, sociology, and ecology of human beings, and also to progress out of that to the scale of the earth, where we now have the water cycle, the food chain, and biodiversity, and they seem to map to all these other things. So I've gone into like actually mapping this out horizontally. How do all these dots connect? And it comes up with a really interesting pattern. And I love the way the rainbow, gets expressed in this way. And how we're thinking about how we even design our own experience as we're going through the process of, maybe we're going through the process of change and we're discovering a loss, and there's this light and dark in the way we think about the way we're designing our own experience of what kind of emotions do I want to feel, acknowledge loss, embrace emotions, accept thoughts, expect overwhelm, watch the negative thoughts, and then we go into the positive realm where we can go, now I can connect to my values and really take action on what I'm committed to. So here we get into some of those values or collaboration principles that I was drawing from our design sprints, and how this whole process started. It started when 2 years ago, I created mental models for human experience and discovered through this process of working with the design science studio, oh, these are entropy engines using Bucky's language. But we don't have to be entropy engines as corporations and nation states. We can be syntropy organisms. And that's what I think what we're creating here as the design science studio is this initial cell of the organism that is starting to become self-aware and realizing that we can imagine, design, and build our own experience of being together. So that's a really quick overview of what it means to be human and how we can think about cooperating together while having some mental models that help us to think about how we're connected to everything.
Wow, that was really beautiful, Stephen. Thank you so much for that. I just want to, you can unmute yourselves if you want to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Wow.
Way to bring it together.
Absolutely, you really do. Sorry.
Thank you, Mariette. Yeah, well, it's been a fascinating journey, and it really has been. Like, I didn't know how it was coming together, and this really just did come together within the last week or two. So it was really inspiring from my perspective of just like being asked to go, I don't know, what are our collaboration principles? It's such a hard thing to just really pin down exactly what those things can be in just a small number of items. But once I start connecting it to the whole, it felt like a theory of everything.
it is an incredible theory of everything, and I want to walk them as labyrinths. I want to see them all over myself.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone else has anything else they want to see. I know we're going to move on in a moment or two, but they really are the basis, right, for cooperating, as you said.
Yeah.
And by making this explicit, I just hope everyone's going to join us in Regenera and become a citizen, because then they can help Stephen and help the rest of us work on this.
Yeah, it really does feel like just the beginning of what we can do together if we shift the models of what we were thinking about. We have this model of cooperation that is embodied by the corporation, but it seems like a very limited frame for being able to say, well, should we be applying all of our time, energy, and matter and resources to just creating profits, to creating more products and that's why I brought up the entropy machines, is the corporations tend to be unconsciously devolving life and actually creating a sixth mass extinction, not out of any evil intention, most of all, for the most part, I would say, but only because the model is so small that you're looking through a pinhole at only these metrics that are about how we create more things that create more value, and that value is really being applied to just money rather than the value of what it's taken a universe to manifest a life over 13.77 billion years. I think we've got a misplaced sense of value.
Well, that is probably one of the kindest understatements about where we are these days. and that is truly one of the things, Stephen, that makes you such a joy. Truly, because you have a very gentle way of expressing these very deep and difficult things, and I think in a way that's also what I noticed the thread between you and Alexandra as well. There are all these really difficult things, and you're approaching them with such grace, and all the different parts of me, including my Ruby, are really appreciative of this metaphysical space that you're creating and charting it to physicality.
Yeah. And in a way, trying to do that through crossing and connecting the bridges between different ways of seeing the world, where a lot of this is actually being inspired by Buddhist philosophy, Christian philosophy, scientific philosophies, and even Greek, philosophies about what does it mean to be human, and realizing we all have different perspectives that actually add to our understanding of the whole. And that's the amazing thing about synergy, is that we don't have to exclude anybody's particular worldview, because they all really kind of fit.
That right there, that is what I see in those graphics, right? Because it's not about the exclusion. The planet doesn't really get to go anywhere, right? If we don't all come along.
Right. And that's that sense of oneness, like the way of seeing the world, the Tao, is kind of a common phrase that we're recognizing. Oh wow, that was always there, that we are one.
Wow, so what's next? Do we see you again in a little while? Will you be back during Regenera?
I'm sure I will be. I'm going to have to go traveling, but I'm going to be around for the next couple of days. So yes, for sure.
That's really lovely. And we need to know how we're going to keep up on your work. So
Yeah, there is a Topia world that I've created where you can walk through the mental models for human experience. And there's also an experience in New Art City where you can walk through the model in 3 dimensions. So yeah, there's other ways to explore, and I'm going to share this. I really just pressed the button on creating this PDF file, so I'll share that around as well.
oh, that's great. Great. So everybody I know here is really interested, and I am too. And I have been to Stephen's Topia World, and I cannot wait now to go to your New Art City world. Because the Topia World, well, I got the artist tour, so I do have to say it was particularly special, and I enjoyed it. And that gentleness that you hold us all with, I really do. I think we all here really appreciate you, and so thank you for all.
Thank you, Mariette.
Yay. And now we're slowly meander from the metaphysical to the physical. And Stephen's work could not be a more beautiful and perfect bridge. And to our lovely birthday person, John Van Meter. Welcome, John. Now,
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, before we get into John's work in creating these gorgeous spaces to house the houseless, I do want to say that we were thinking of what we could do for you today. And so I invite all of us here in Regenera in this moment right now. And again, I apologize. We have Francesco Equalimatus. Am I saying this correctly? Francesco.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So welcome, Francesco Equalimatus, the scientist, sharing about your own relationship to Regenera. But today, because we are from the Regenaissance, we would like to do a little birthday something for you. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful, Francesco. Okay, so for anyone here who might have a candle or two lying around, why don't you grab it now? And you can even get a torch, get your little flashlight. But if you have a candle, as many people seem to these days, what I would recommend is that you grab it and that, Francesco, you are going to think of a wish. Okay, so yes, you're not going to share it. You're not going to share it just yet. No, 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 no. You're going to think of your wish and you're going to hold it in your heart and your mind. And as you do, the rest of us are going to light candles for your wish. So your wish may come true. So for everybody listening, and for everybody who hears, even off the Zoom, may Francesco's wishes come true. Happy solar return for you. Yay, we have candles. Yes.
Grazie, grazie. I see your light. I feel your warmth. I'm blessed, truly. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. A greeting from the world.
So,
thank you.
the scientists. Chatty Cathy.
It is good to laugh. It's good to feel love. My name, Equadimus, is to bring equality, to bring balance to systems that are out of balance, to bring people within the circle, because we've forgotten the circle. We've been in too many squares. So my joy is to bring people together and to remember the circle. And it's my joy to remember all of those among us who belong. And my work is to bring us back to wholeness. And as I looked around my city, I found people being left alone and being left out due to the misconception of value. We were talking about values and how they're determined, and how our ancestors in their mistakes had never paid for what nature had given them. The energy it takes to make coal, the energy it takes to make oil. If this were all paid for, we would owe Mother Nature more than we can ever repay in a lifetime. But yet, because they found it on the ground, they said, oh, this is free. No one's here to defend it. I'm going to take it. And that's where the accounting system failed. Your cost of material does not include production. You never made it yourself. There was the great story. A fine magician stood before the great power and said, I am a great magician. I shall do magic for you. The great power said, fine. The magician picks up a handful of dust and says, now I will. And the great power said, wait a minute. You get your own dust. That came from me. And we must remember what we build with was given to us by nature, was created, was once stardust. If you believe cosmology, we all came from the hearts of the sun. This matter that we walk around in, it was all once part of a sun, part of a star, sprayed out over the universe. So we could all come back together and look back towards the center of the universe and go, I remember back there. And as I look around at all of my brothers and sisters, all of the star children, which we are all star children, I remember and I choose to welcome my family back with love, and to create a safety net, to create a place for everyone to move back into participation, back into Regenera. My idea is to ask everyone what their dream is and help them make it come true. And my small little idea is to have a house, because so many people we have today, they're called homeless because they don't have a house, they don't have a safe place to be. And it's through no fault of their own, because the system we're in says to be in a house, you have to have money. To have money, you have to have a job. You must do something that you don't choose to do, and I'll pay you for it. So these people that through no fault of their own have lost the ability to secure a house. I looked into the research. I like numbers. I found out there's only half of the houses for the people that need them. There are 2 people or 2 families for each house that's made. We need to make houses faster than anything else. But the house process is slow. It is laborious. It can take 12 months to build a house. When we know that you can build an airplane, you can build a computer, you can build a recreational vehicle in less than a week. All the parts come together. You build them in a very dry environment, but yet the housing industry still takes raw materials out to the site, lets them sit in the rain and the sun and the wind, and builds slowly. They build foundations, they pour the concrete, they have to wait for the proper day. Then they put the wood, then they cover the wood in plastic. Then they cover the plastic in either more plastic or more wood. Then they paint it. It takes so long. I can watch a building grow. It takes longer than it takes to make a child. Why are we still doing it like this? We need to rapidly deploy housing. And these were some of the beautiful ideas that I discovered when I discovered Bucky's books and Master Fuller. He was a master architect, but I digress. I have taken a very small idea of finding wood in cities that is already destined to be thrown away and to be recycled and used again in housing for those without houses, but very small houses. A house small enough for one person, just so they can be safe, just so they can be secure, just so they can have privacy and decency. This is my project. These are my magic cubes. And I will share with you the proposal I have. And eventually we can explore a beautiful model that was made for me. So let me take a moment. And here we are. To start. Okay, old technology. So that is my humble attempt at pronouncing my project, which comes from just wanting to shelter and care for my brothers and sisters. And if we make our brothers and sisters our priority, there's no way we can lose. Because as Buckminster Fuller said, if you house 1,000 people and give them sufficient resources to survive, one out of that 1,000 people will have an idea that will bring rewards to everyone. Who's going to be the next Leonardo? Who's going to be the next Picasso, the next Michelangelo? Who is, any one of us could have that spark, that flame. And that's what we need to nurture. Every individual is a beautiful gift to be cherished, not thrown away, not manipulated, not used. That's the true gift of Regenera. That's the true gift of everyone being a part of the whole. So I have spoken for so long, and as you can tell, I'm very passionate about my beliefs and my love for the world. So I hope this carries you forward. If you have questions, I'm here. And I will continue to build, and I will continue to research, and I will continue to bring my findings to the whole. So I'm I am truly warmed by all of you, and I wish to continue. Let's see who will be with me next.
Me. Yeah.
Yes, the spirit animal.
Well, I feel like I want to encourage everyone to share their love and reflections with their voices for you and for your offerings of your heart and soul and the forms that they have taken. Dear Francesco Equalimatos, on your day of birth.
Hey, this is one of the better ones I've had.
Thank you so much. What a gift you are.
Yes, amazing.
Amazing. Just so beautiful to see just your love and your passion. I just feel really so moved, because you really just bring that so beautifully. And I've told Francesco before that he actually holds space very much like womb to me in my thinking, because it's just a beautiful, just a beautiful gift, and how how you want to do it, how beautifully it's coming through and like coming back and shaping as it goes. And I just feel so grateful to have sort of seen it as it's unfurling. So, and just your heart, just so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I watched so many men's hearts, like so many people's hearts soften, like we're watching it here. Not that they weren't before. I'm just saying that feeling our hearts together and really the passion that drives us and pulls us, it's the passion that's pulling, it's like we feel when people are being pulled by and pulling us with them all, and each of us has that spark and that pull, and that's the trim, that's the thing that can move the whole thing. So thank you.
I see those as beautiful permanent installations in the commons for people to come to as they travel.
Yes, I had Brian, my architect, the genius who gave my image life. He said it looks like a piece of art. It looks like a an art installation. And when the time comes that they don't need to be used for shelter, we can leave them as play structures. We can recycle them again, put them back in the cycle. It's just to take care of those who need the care. And yes, thank you. It's, as Bucky said, I never worry about getting the idea right, because when it's right, it will be beautiful.
I just offer you one thing from what you said, because when you said make these and they're like they could be used later as something else, and it's like if you could see my walls, like the walls are made to be painted. And my kids, I got those bunk beds that had no just wood, and they drew all over them. So like they're art in the making. So while people need homes, they also need places to create and to make works and stuff as well. So just just expanding time for you right there, of like it could happen all at once.
Well, I hope that you feel full and
Yes.
like your resolve is strengthened, because what you're doing is so important, and you're also inspiring all of us to see how we can continue to do the best that we can to make the world work for all life, including those who don't have homes in the traditional sense of this modern world, but in Regenera, we're able to see beyond that. There is more than enough to support everyone on the planet. And what you're creating helps make that possible.
Nature always deals in sufficiency. It always provides more than you need. And nature is my teacher in this. Because I want to use the powers of the sun, the powers of water, the powers of wind that can't be limited, that can't be metered, that can't be controlled. Because you take the power of a sunny day and a thunderstorm and you mix them together, and you've got a very volatile mix. And that's, I haven't yet revealed my power source, because I'm being careful. But when your source is unlimited, so is your result. And this is using natural forces. So wait and see, there will be more.
Well, I feel honored to go after you and to be a bridge between the work that you're doing as an individual for the collective, to share a little bit about our collective and what we're all doing. And so I thank you, Francesco. I celebrate you. We celebrate you and your birth on this planet, in this floating city, and as a part of this community. So excited to continue to see this make its way into the world and to be an ally and support for it as well. So you may have seen me as the spirit animal of Regenera earlier today, and here I am revealing a different form as the director and architect of the Design Science Studio. My name is Roxy, and I am honored and excited to be here with all of you on this third day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fourth day of our 11-day second annual summit, Regenerative Rising. And I am going to share a little bit about the Design Science Studio, who we are, and an opportunity that we have lovingly crafted to invite more people to support and help create structures to empower more artists like John and like Alexandra and like Stephen Bao, because we come together knowing that the visionaries, the artists, the designers, the creators also need to be resourced and supported to be able to help amplify visions of what's possible. And so we created this space to help make that happen. And so we've launched this crowdfunding campaign. And I want to just thank everyone who's already donated to support it. It really is so encouraging for people to have already given and exchanged value for the value they receive and for what they see as possible. And I actually, John Van Meter, also known as Equanimous, who just helped make this video, and we watched a little bit of it yesterday. And so we're going to watch a little bit of it, a little bit more of it today, to hear some of the voices of the revolutionaries in the studio.
Pause of 2020 and 21 gave me screaming clear messages. One, the way to help us forward is through art and culture. When unity is singing through the memes and themes of our songs, stories, and movies, governments and corporations will follow. And the second thing I got last year was creativity and community. Don't try this home alone. Our way forward is absolutely holding hands and releasing our creativity. And oh my goodness, the DSS and the Design Science Studio, not surprisingly, also emerged at the same time with a similar intention. And I'm just so proud and grateful to be part of such a creative collective that I know I haven't got to meet all of them, but that network is there. I'm tapping into it already. And I'm just so thrilled because there aren't always that many people we can share when you're an outlier and cresting the wave to see what's ahead. So I'm super grateful, and go Design Science.
Hey there, this is R. Brentminster, full of it, and I'm just here to quickly share what I love about the Design Science Studio. So one thing I love, or maybe even what I love most about the Design Science Studio, is that I can be who I am. I can be authentically myself, and I can be around people that are really unconditionally loving, to be flat out honest. I mean, look, I can even show up on a video with my hair sticking up all strangely and in the middle of nowhere with a ratty white t-shirt on, and yet people are not going to hold that against me. So this is a really beautiful community. Before the Design Science Studio, I had a small group of friends, and I traveled a lot, and I felt inspired and excited about our future as a civilization. After or since being part of the DSS for 2 years, it's just really magnified for me. I'm a different person today because I'm part of a community that is supportive and accepting. And for me, that was a really big deal, I guess. And I love everyone that passes through here. I love the enthusiasm. I love the heart. And I love the genius, of course, and the innovation and the minds. But the soul of the Design Science Studio is where it's at. And I'm super grateful to be part of collectively building and revealing the Regenaissance. Thanks.
When I arrived to the Design Science Studio in the inaugural year last year, the first 2 years were about dissolve and bloom as part of the Design Science decade. So the first year I arrived with Mark Smith, a story that I've been carrying for over 40 years that was anticipating the leprechaun-kin's arrival. And so I dissolved that into the cohort. And this year, the second year, blooming is Beaming Regen Era. And I'm here to encourage the voices of this era and loving every moment of it.
Hi, this is Stefania in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. Why did I join DSS cohort 2? In 3 words: integrity, integrity, integrity. So I joined because I had the fire inside me that I needed to integrate all these stories and all the experiences that I've been having in my 35 years. And I always go search for someone to learn from and the wisdom outside myself. And this time something was telling me, come on, you've got everything you've got inside, and there is something missing, and the artistic side of you is asking you, please, to use it to bring all the creativity inside you, because without creativity, all the things that you've learned, all the experiences, all the people that you met, and all the projects that you're working on, they are not going to have any outcome. And beyond money, beyond relationships, beyond health, beyond anything, I feel that without integrity, none of my projects are going to have a real value for you. And so I am grateful I joined DSS this year because my artistic side, since I was a child, I was spending most of my time singing because it made me laugh a lot. And there is one beautiful person that is no longer living in this world, remind me that before she passed away. And I believe that any solution, any logical, any reasonable, any whatever problem that you may be facing right now, there is an artistic side of you, and there is a lot of creativity inside that will help, that can may guide, support, serve and love you at best if you allow your creativity unfold naturally. And I through this course I met beautiful people, musicians and other kind of art. I didn't know what art meant before I joined this course, because now I understand. I see art, it's any artistic being inside us, that it's knocking the door to go out and share with the world who are you as a creative being, and with integrity, which means that I don't even know what exactly integrity means to me, but I believe now that it's integrating all that so far I've been learning and sharing with others. And now I need to trust myself first, that what I'm sharing with the world, any project, any idea, any suggestion, it has a value, and that value is worth it, as I am. So I'm so happy because my project is about musical. Anyway, please just trust yourself, and always use your creativity to move you forward through your heart. Bye.
So good to hear some of the amazing voices of these artists. And I just wanted to have this opportunity to share about why we've created this campaign to support the work of the Design Science Studio. We're working to further the vision of both Buckminster Fuller and the studio to create this world that works for 100% of life. And the Design Science Studio was created when we realized that there is a huge missing piece in many of the environmental and regenerative conversations around the world. While there's mention of the importance of creating cultural shifts, not enough people are talking about how, and specifically about how we can empower art as a critical role in creativity, as Estefania was just sharing. So we created the Design Science Studio, this educational incubator for the art of the Regenaissance. And so what we do is we empower global creators to imagine a regenerative future that works for 100% of life, and directing our creativity towards catalyzing inspiration, conversation, and action to support this transition. And the story that we're living in, the story of Regenera, the story of shifting paradigms, this and these are the stories that will help to cause social and systemic change, as they always have. The history teaches us how art has continuously changed history, and we aim at creating cultural change, behavioral change through culture. And we, each one of us, every single person on this earth has that creative voice, has that creative seed, as Stefania was just speaking about, and we are the seeds of revolution that reimagine life on this planet. And so we are here to empower and uplift and support so many people to nurture those seeds, because all systemic change can start with that seed. And as cultural and global change is at the heart of every revolution, we are in Roxy, it's your speaker. I love it. I have like an echo. We're in need of revolution if we're to support a regenerative future for our planet and all people. And so enter this decade-long living, breathing, emergent program that was created in partnership between Hub Ritual, my creative studio, and the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And we scaffold and we provide resources and precipitate this revolutionary global cultural shift. And we aim to do this through new cultural standards, inspiring events, revolutionary spaces that are evocative and are propelling and helping to uplift regenerative art, design, and more. And so over the last 2 years, we've been making bold moves towards realizing this vision of a world that works for 100% of life. And we've done some pretty cool stuff. We've managed to award $30,000 to creators. We've provided $114,000 in scholarships. We have had 53 public events, many new partnerships, incredible visionary speakers. Over 200 projects have been launched into the world with 9 part-time team members. And we're just getting started. We really believe that the ripples that we're creating matter, and we're reaching people. These artists that you've heard from today and the past few days, they're sharing from their hearts how this has impacted them. And as John was saying just before he went, that like our passion is the most important thing to drive us and connect us with something bigger than ourselves. And so it's been such a beautiful experience to see that it's working, that creating a space, a connected, collaborative community of practice to empower and embody the principles of collaboration over competition, to have a collected voice and vision together that can help to support moving towards a future that works for all of life is working. And we aim to continue to iterate and make it better and better. And we know that part of the opportunity, the courageous, I'll say, opportunity right now, is also to see how we may help to transfer wealth towards a regenerative future. And so I am here to say that as one of the members of the team, we are so honored to be stewards of these visions of all of our revolutionary creators. And we aim to really be able to support and uplift them in so many ways. And right now, what we've mostly been able to do is to create a container, an incubator space with amazing educators and resources and tools. And we really want to also be able to financially support and uplift the creators of the studio as well, and to strengthen our team so that we can embody the principles of the regenerative future that we're working for. And so we're working with determination to leave this legacy to future generations and to support shifting the tides together. And so we're inviting others to be patrons of the Design Science Studio, to help us to grant more scholarships to incredible artists who could not participate in this program otherwise. And that can look like as simple as $1,500, which can support one artist going through the program. But honestly, any amount helps. If you got a scholarship ticket and you found that the space has created value for you, or you are passionate about what you've experienced and you believe in the work of this collective and of the container that has helped to support it, any amount helps, and we're super grateful for the support that's already come through in this campaign that we're going to be running over the course of the launch. And the donation that you give funds many wonderful things, immersive worlds and experiences like this one, where we can create spaces that expand our reach to invite more people into the conversation, into their creativity to support and propel the regenerative movement. More of these revolutionary programs to support the creators every single year. Each one of them is selected for their capacity to change culture and also for their diversity. These are people coming from all walks of life, all ages and races and backgrounds and passions, because it is together that we can uplift and sow and water and nurture these seeds. And it is not just one kind of person, it is just not one kind of medium. But what's also emerging is an incredible amount of collaboration. And this is all, at the underpinnings, there's a team of 9 brilliant part-time humans, and it's necessary to support and continue to propel the spaceship. Over the summer, the team would need to thin pretty dramatically to make it until the next cohort. And so we're really excited to open up the opportunity to support a summer abundance so that we can have the sufficiency to be able to bring some of the other initiatives that we've been building. And so one of the things that you probably have already participated in is contributing to the Green Book. And if you haven't, definitely want to invite you to do so. I'll share a little bit about it in a minute, and become a citizen of Regenera. And this story universe is not only for the people who go through the cohort, but also others who have their stories, their creativity to bring to the world. And so we're working to map and weave and make visible all of the incredible efforts of this movement. And we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of content over the last 2 years. And so we're really excited to be able to take this content and create a living library of resources to support more cultural shift change makers and creatives to have access, because education is one of the greatest leveling playing grounds in this world. And so I want to thank you all for being regenerous. Some of you have already given some funding to this initiative, and I just want to thank you, and share that we are just so grateful, because none of these things can happen without you. And as a nonprofit program, we currently rely largely on the donations of generous donors as yourself or people that you know. And we over the past 2 years have been full of deep learning and epic creations and amazing connections. And we're reaching this moment where we really want to be able to take all that we've learned and iterate and continue to expand. And so we need your support to continue this work of scaffolding cultural change and supporting creators and spreading awareness about this movement to create long-lasting artifacts that inspire you for years to come. And we need to just make sure to open up the opportunity to be able to continue to do this great work. And so we're asking you and your people for support by helping us reach our funding goals, which are much needed for the studio, to ensure we can continue to do what we aim to do and what we need to do over the upcoming months, and to build more sustainably for the community. And if you are part of a large organization or an institution that wants to support the regenerative movement in the arts, we're actually seeking also large-scale, long-term institutional partners that are interested in the collective power of our members to create amazing projects and events and potentially creative tracks. For example, we have one of our visionaries this year from the Rights of Nature movement, or the campaign for biodiversity, 30 by 30. He is looking to see if they, get the project that they currently have inside of the UN goals to be able to protect biodiversity and protect 30% of the natural spaces in the world, that we would link train cars and support. And so there might be a biodiversity track that would form. That would be a really good example of the institutional partner potential, because then that would bring in also different mentors, educators, organizations, initiatives, people who are kind of coalescing around some of these critical paths to support more equitable and just futures for all life. And so I'm sure that you all have heard a little bit about the Green Book. But one of the projects that we're collaborating, co-creating also, which is a different way to collaborate and contribute and add your value, which is just as equally important, is this Green Book. And so one of the things that we're doing within Regenera, the world that we've created in the Design Science Studio, where we've created these councils to look at how society might reorient itself, we recognized, as we proposed these new ideas and new systems and actualizing potential of a new way of being, there were many who came together and they co-created a thing called the Green Book. And so what the Green Book was and what the Green Book is a place to coalesce so many of these visions, these aphorisms, to help to support how we might regenerate the planet and make that accessible to more people. And so in Regenera, this book was co-created by thousands of our citizens, and it changed our society in ways we never expected. And up to this day, it's our guiding beacon. And so how do you contribute? How do you help make this Green Book possible? Well, as a citizen of Regenera, we recognize that it is important that all stakeholders have a part of that vision. And so we invite you to join this process with passion and commitment, because it is time and only you can make this possible. So our invitation, contribution is, if you had a page to transmit a message that could make a dent, one piece of information that could change things and be useful to regenerating the earth, to regenerating the way that people orient to our relationships, what would that be? What would that idea be? What would those instructions be? So the Green Book will contain new words. Like yesterday, our friend Catherine Connors came up with a new word that was combining poetic with protopia, so it's poetopia. So it was like creating, so because the root of poetry is also to make, and so to create a world that works for all life, a poetopia. I think she'll be doing a session on that. So these kinds of new words to help make a new world. This can also create ideas and aphorisms, and also quotes, guides, diagrams, illustrations, links, all of these things to, like, Stephen's incredible, I don't even know what to call it, manuscript, guidebook. I mean, that would perfectly, that's such an incredible asset in the Green Book. And some other examples, like, how do you explain really simply what a trim tab is? The system where Minimum effort creates maximum effects. And how do we explain what regenerative means, how we're shifting from me to we to a more generous economy that's circular and gifted and open source and holistic. So this is the invitation to contribute your ideas to the Green Book. So we'll put that in the chat. I'm so excited. We'll share a little bit about what has been coming through in this Regenera Rising. And after it's ended, we're going to compile these. And so over the summer, with your generous support of your ideas and your visions, and also your resources, if you can contribute them, these will be able to kind of weave into the Green Book and share it out with the world. And this dynamic document will continue to evolve over the course of time, and it will serve as an operating manual for the Regenaissance. And so thank you in advance for your creative contributions to something that has been so pivotal from, you know, whenever I am standing in the library of Regenera, and I have this quote that I read sometimes. There's an elder from the first age, and he said, you know, the Green Book, there was a bag of seeds, and once we put the ideas that were contained in there, it spread like mycelia all over the earth. It was simple enough and powerful enough and logical enough, and nothing was the same. And we compiled this little book of big ideas, and it became one of the most important manuals to support our orientation. And this was from an elder, you know, from the first stage of Regenera. There are many citizens who are already contributing to this book. And so we invite you as a part of this era of regeneration to contribute as well. So thank you for letting me share a little bit about what we care about, what we're passionate, and your presence also is so supportive as we're shifting the tides in this world to reorient to what value looks like. And every single one of you being here and believing in each other and supporting each other is a ripple that we'll almost never be able to probably quantify, but it is so felt. So really excited, and I want to invite one of our evolutionaries, Strupi, to share a little music to integrate this love and care and passion into the space before we do meditation.
Well, thank you, and take a good deep breath. I don't know how you were able to speak so much without breathing, it seemed. Well, what a day, or rather night on my side. I don't even know. It's something like 3:12 in the morning. But I thought, you know, after all this magic taking place, I'd really like to kind of offer one last takeaway, a little thing that gets stuck in.
You're a little bit low, just so you know.
I'm low. That's because I'm speaking low, but I'm gonna be singing louder in a second. But I want to give this to you, and I was reminded of a passage in the book that Patricia Ravasio wrote about the girl from Spaceship Earth, where she's been speaking to us a few days ago, and in one of her moments with Bucky, she asked him if there was one thing, you know, when you reincarnate, if there was one thing you could choose to be different, what would it be? And he kind of said he would like to come back as someone who's singing and dancing. And I think whenever we all do that, we kind of have him in us, you know. We all have him with us all the time, and he's sitting just out of the frame somewhere, you know, smiling, and crying tears of joy, perhaps, from time to time. So, that being said, here is a song of mine which I want to share with you called Regenerate. an inside and outside of we. Breathe out and continue to feel. We became to this day to heal. Planet Earth giving birth over and over, 'cause the cosmos loves to discover itself in as many forms as there are. Beings wandering among the stars, regenerate, react, return, resilient. Respect, reflect, relearn, refill, land, water and air. Reform, reborn, respawn, recover. Revive, recreate, regard and narrate one another. I'll be forgiven, I'll be inviting, put down the pressure. I won't be fighting without love and peace of mind. There's something to find deep inside of your heart. Years of light. Years of love, da-da-da, years of life, ya-da-da-da, years of love, da-da-da-da, years of life, da-da-da-da, years of love, da-da-da-da, years of life, da-da-da-da, years of love, ya-da-da-da, years of life. begin to be continue to feel. We became to this day to heal. Planet Earth giving birth over and over, because the cosmos loves to discover itself in as many forms as there are beings wandering among the stars.
So beautiful, Strupe. And I just wanted to say to all of you that if you had been sitting beside him, bathed in his music, day and night, like the want for it to be something that I'm immersed in right now is very strong for me. So I apologize for my interruption to turn it up. And also just knowing how, you know, these should be recordings that we can all play in our homes, that will soon all be rounded walls, that the sound will move along. You know, so feedbacks to Stroopy for a recording studio and microphones and things, so we can all hear it everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Stroopy.
Thank you for being sphere together.
Thank you for staying awake and being sphere with us too.
Not
And
sure if
for-
I'm still awake though, you know. I'm dreaming.
Well, thanks for also the reminder to take some deep musical medicinal breaths. Yeah. Well, I
Allow
have.
the hearts to beat in resonance.
Say that again.
Allow our hearts to beat in resonance.
Harmonizing with one another. I had a great revelation after a really powerful journey, and that was essentially just that we're remembering ourselves home, and that omnipresent all of the time is a version of this reality where all life is thriving, and we're just harmonizing back to which is our true nature, and that like harmonization that's our work. It's tuning. As Stephanie would say, we're tuning the vessel back to our true nature.
Remembering the whole story.
It was an intention. It was a backcasting. Intentionally, right? It's like we're all this collective dream, and it's just so beautiful to watch how beautifully it layers and it weaves, and it's just, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I have one more surprise for us, maybe two, depending on how Alicia's feeling. So Stroopy, if you want to stick around, it might be a good balm for the spirit as you rest your bones. So I'm going to just pull it up real quick. And so what we're about to experience is a meditation from a dear sister, Karis Molina Brown, who is a visionary teacher and author and healer and shamanic spirit guide. She holds a master's degree in health and psychology and has devoted her career to enhancing the well-being of humanity and the larger community through ancient and modern techniques. She trains energy healers in Reiki healing and has written the Starseed Trilogy and the Post-Holiday Cleanse, and teaches classes and workshops online and in person. She holds retreats in sacred locations and facilitates mentorship for spiritual awakening and full spectrum healing. Her podcast is entitled Stars and Spirits, and it focuses on conscious evolution and personal development with an esoteric spin. And she hosts weekly meditations and office hours online. And the meditation that we're going to listen to and experience together is one titled United We Stand for Peace. So I invite you to enjoy this. And I'm going to put it on the screen share. And yeah, depending on where you are right now and how you can get cozy, definitely want to give you permission and an invitation to take this moment to get cozy and give yourself the space to connect our hearts in this United We Stand for Peace meditation with Karis and Melina Brown.
United we stand for peace. Mass meditation to bring about new beginnings of connection, of peace, of solutions for ourselves, for our people, for our world. In this moment, we are breathing deep, full, round breaths, filling our lungs with fresh oxygen, fresh life, emptying our bodies of stress, anxiety, fear, and worry, along with our carbon dioxide as we exhale. Remembering that every breath is an opportunity to begin again in a new way. Allowing this time to be one that brings new possibilities, innovative, creative solutions, answers where once there were only questions, peace. As we breathe deeply, resetting our nervous systems, becoming more present with every passing second. We feel our bodies, still, calm bodies, held securely to the earth by the force of gravity, held safe. We allow our minds and our spirits to connect with the earth, moving our awareness down deep, deep, deep into the earth, to the shining molten center of our mother, where the warmth of this planet originates. We allow the warmth of our bodies to reflect the warmth inside Mother Earth. We allow ourselves to come into resonance with the planet, feeling our cycles, feeling our rhythms, feeling the delicate, intricate, complex dance of nature's systems, the the weather patterns moving across the face of the earth, the deep tectonic plate movement within the earth, and the waters circulating over the surface, through the skies, and underground. We send our gratitude for this eternal system of balance and life that supports our life, all the life that we've known, and all of the life that we will know on this planet. We send our love and appreciation into the living planet, honoring her for all she has given us. Now, still breathing deeply, round, full breaths, we become aware of our relations in the animal and plant kingdom. We become aware of the shining truth of the most vibrant existence that could exist for our relations in the animal and plant kingdom. We allow ourselves to dream of a place where nature's systems are balanced, where all beings of plant and animal kind are treated with respect, are cultivated to flourish, are loved and appreciated. Even by allowing ourselves to think of these things, we can already feel the tides shifting, new possibilities emerging, so that a place of balance, peace, and mutual benefit can be born through our hands into this world. With our gratitude, we gently release the awareness of our plant and animal relations, and we come into resonance with the vibration of our human family, spread out across the face of this earth. As we breathe deeply and gently connect with this energy, we become aware of the ancient movement of our earth family of humans. Some fully known, most shrouded in mystery. We allow ourselves to feel the movement of peoples across the face of this earth. In this moment, we allow ourselves to become aware of the fact that we are all related. That if you go back far enough, each of us is one another's cousin. We allow ourselves to feel into the network of human consciousness spreading across this planet. Still taking deep, round breaths, we allow ourselves to become aware of the pain in humanity, of the trauma, of the fear, of the hatred that humans can hold for one another. We allow ourselves to become aware of it. from this place of stillness and focus, of clarity and honor, we allow ourselves to hold the presence of all that needs healing in our people. We let it move through us. We let it exist. We let it have voice in us. We reach out with our energy to provide support, nourishment, and community to others whose hearts may be mourning, whose spirits may be crying with loss and pain, with injustice, with accident, with all of the ways that a human life can be disrupted, with all of the ways that people can be unkind to each other, with all of the ways that life can be tragic. We allow ourselves to become vast and to hold the space, to support, to cradle, to heal the pain moving through human consciousness. Some of it may be new wounding, some of it is ancient. We allow ourselves to hold all of it in our awareness. And as we give this space, we can feel around the pain, the background, the potential of healing underneath all of it. We allow ourselves to resonate with this frequency of solution. We feel the potential of love and cooperation between all peoples. Although we may not have the answers, although we may not know how it will work, here and now we create a space of possibility. Here and now we believe within each of our hearts that solutions can be found, that if they may be found, they will be found. Eventually, in their divine time, and we pull that time toward us with all of the grace and strength of the great race of humanity. We pull toward us a space of solution. We pull toward us a space of collaboration. We generate from ourselves a space of listening, of learning, of allowing ourselves to release conflicting, limiting thoughts, energies that held us down, energies that held others down. We know in this time and space that there is no more bandwidth for anything other than what will move us forward to heal our people, to heal our planet, to create a future that we are proud of. Breathing deeply, full, round breaths. We generate around each of us an aura of peace. We know that peace is more than an absence of war. We know that peace is a new beginning, that real peace that we have never seen in our lifetimes means that the minds, the genius, the action, the strength that was formerly dedicated to fighting and overpowering one another will now be dedicated to creating new innovative solutions, to implementing new life-affirming technologies, to discovery, to art, to music, to athleticism, to scientific breakthrough. We allow ourselves to think and feel what a world would feel like, where all of the energy that had been going to division goes instead to co-creation, where we support one another, where we use our time and energy to build community where everyone benefits, where we use our intelligence and heart to build bridges where there once were divisions. And we reach out here and now to cross the chasms of misunderstanding, to bridge the divides of hate and pain. We each reach out from where we are standing, from where our genealogy has brought us, from our family and cultural histories. We each reach out with our hearts, with our energy, to link hands energetically, to support one another, to say, I am here. I am here for you. I am here for us. We reach out and we feel all the others reaching out. And as we do, we know that we are home. We connect with one another. We allow the songs that we are silently singing to create a beautiful harmony of potential. We may not have the answers, but we invite them. We know that they will be found. We know that as they are found, we will feel the rightness of them. We know that we have the power to heal more and more with each generation. And we know that we are in a time unprecedented on this planet, where technology allows us to communicate in seconds worldwide. We have the answers. They may still be seeds of awareness, but with this climate of appreciation, of peace, and of space, we know they can grow into a mighty forest that heals and nourishes this earth and all of us on it. Still breathing deep, round breaths, we allow ourselves to sit in this space of true peace, not just as an absence of violence, but as a way of life, a way of living. Here and now, we each allow the aggressive tendencies that may be hiding within any of our hearts to fall away, to restructure themselves and reweave themselves into integrity, into patience, into compassion, and into wisdom. Within each of us, we make a pledge that we will strive, reach, look toward unity, toward compassion, toward reason. We will drop prejudice. We will drop assumption. We will drop reaction, knowing that all of us have pain that we could source our responses from, rising above it within ourself, knowing that as we do this, we draw toward us the others who are also solution-based. We make a pledge here and now to shine our spirits out through our eyes, to be unafraid, and to connect with others doing the same, to be able to see the other spirits shining from eyes. We ask that we be guided to synchronicitous encounters that help us build the community that is healing this planet. We ask that our brothers and sisters of the plant and animal kingdoms support and help guide us as the stewards of this planet to truly make it what it was meant to be always, a garden, a place of learning, science, art, and community. From this day forward, each step we take is a step into a future that we can be proud of. We may have a while to go, but every step we take brings us one more step in the direction of peace. And as we feel our community worldwide also holding this vibration, we send our thanks, we send our love, and we feel the gratitude and love coming from everyone else holding this vibration. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are here. We are present. The power is in our hands to create a new way for ourselves and the coming generations. Still breathing, deep, whole, round breaths. We allow our hearts to shine with the light of healthy, peaceful community. We gently, gently allow our spirits to come back to our bodies. We gently become aware again of the spaces around us. And as we begin to come back to the present moment, we know that we carry this vibration with us. We know that these intentions have now been set, and they will unlock as we travel down the paths of time to our future. We know we can return here at any time, and we know that we have brothers and sisters worldwide who are holding this same frequency. At any time we can reach out and feel them. At any time they can feel our support and love. We are never alone. We are beginning again.
Welcome back. Thank you, Michelle.
How did that
That's
sound?
beautiful. What'd you say?
How did the drum sound?
That sounded maybe a little of the echo was removed, but still beautiful. It was like I wrote in the chat, the heartbeat of Mother Earth, and Stroopy just said the heartbeat. Yeah, that was beautiful and helpful. I feel like medicine. Yeah, Ruby. Yeah, what do you? How was that for you, Ruby? How does the mermaid feel?
It feels really good. Really helped. Thank you. The drum was perfect.
Yeah, I've been like really stirring up a lot, having an opportunity to like take a breath in this day is a gift. Thanks for that.
Your drumming is a pure channel.
That's the first time I've ever played for anyone.
It was beautiful.
I just play it when I watch the sunset. Yeah.
You're a beautiful drumming bird.
I hope, with Zoom, sometimes, you just don't ever know. We didn't sound check it, so I didn't know what it was going to sound like. So I just did it.
Actually, with Zoom, we never know what we sound like anyways. There is no way, even if we sound check, you have no idea what comes out on the other sides. So we can just give it up and hope for the best and trust in the rest of us to hear what they need to hear.
Yeah, that's a.
Thank you, Stroopy. It's like definitely past 4 a.m. now, I think, right?
Well, actually, it is a minute before. So we're just getting there. So the fourth day of Regenera ends at 2004 in the morning.
May the force be with you.
Indeed. It's a mighty force field.
Well, my friends, I am deeply grateful for this community, so passionate, and every one of you. That meditation, I think, was really appropriate. Thank you, Karis. And then, like, the resonance of the vibration that you brought it home with, Alicia, was the celebratory medicine that all our spirits need. Are like mid rise right now.
Thanks for encouraging me to do it.
Thanks for bringing my vision to life. I was like, I think singing bowls, and you were like, I have singing bowls.
I have two that are in harmony with each other.
That was amazing. Brittany, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, just to echo what you just shared, Roxy, I really felt the depth of that meditation and followed with the drumming. It was so powerful. And just the whole session today. Thank you all so much. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the presentations and the music and learned so much, and also feel just deeply grateful to be a part of this movement and this community. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been quite the day. I learned a lot too today. Just the depth of wisdom that each person is carrying and translating in their creative crafts and making them visible and accessible to different people in so many ways. It's like renewed hope, and I feel deeply resourced, like spiritually. Yeah. Thank you all for being
the day with the sustainable fashion, what to do with scraps from the fashion industry, and that was super interesting to think about. Then we had the reggae music. It was a good day, another fabulous day. Thank you so much for bringing so many amazing minds and talents to the Vision Train, and I think I speak for all of us when I give a big hug of gratitude for everyone that's made this happen, and will continue to make it happen for the next week.
It's definitely a village effort for sure. It takes a village to raise a Regenera. Where's Bliss?
I have to
To rise a Regenera.
I'm on my way.
Bliss, turn your camera on. It is magical human working so hard in the background. Thanks, Bliss. You're the best.
Literally in the background, like literally saying
I saw something earlier today that was like when they turned a building 90 degrees, this like feat of engineering of them turning this building 90 degrees over the course of like 3 months or something like that, and it just got me thinking about like, the tiny little incremental movements that we make on the daily, and maybe today I make that little inch, and the next day Roxy takes that next inch, and the next day Stephen takes that inch, but every day we're just slowly turning, that building that 90 degrees, we're like trying to get maybe 180, but just inch by inch, and the amazing, huge, unfathomable changes that can happen just inch by inch, and staying the course, and steady coordinated efforts. People worked in the building the entire time while they were turning it. Isn't that crazy? Because it's just little inches by inches over the course of 3 months.
Cool. That's wild. What a powerful metaphor. Definitely.
Well, that's what we're doing here, right?
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. Recently I read somewhere or heard someone say, I don't know, anyways, something to the effect of like, you may never see the ripples that you've created, or the ripples that your community has created, or in your lifetime. You'd be lucky if you can feel it. And the fact that this community and our connected communities have gotten the opportunity to see these changes begin is rare in the sands of time. And also, it's a process, and embodying the journey, the destination. It's like evolution for me. It's not just the journey is the destination, but embodying the journey is the destination.
And then like the feedback that we get that is given and received, and it creates that weave that pulls the whole thing even more together. And it's that the fascia does make loops, and it's in that we can get the feedback on it. And so that's what it's so beautiful how even that like whole musical ensemble opened up, like a live jam play, and it was like all over the world at once on this in these boxes in this way. And it was so neat to have that unfold, and like as we be ourselves and allow our creativity and play and fun to unfurl, it invites it more, and it opens it up for others, and our creativity inspires everybody around us. So those ripples and waves, like it's beautiful when they're felt back and given back, and then it just does keep flowing and growing and moving, and we are making that move. And it's so important right now, right? It's important now. And so thank you all so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. I went to a house party, weird, magical thing that's starting to happen again, with Faith Flanagan the other day, to see a friend, my regenerative study buddy. We study regenerative design together week by week. We've skipped a few weeks the last few months, but for the last few years, we've been doing a good job. Anyways, he was mentioning wanting to come back and do another workshop, because he did one last year on regenerative architecture. And in the room, like, they had invited people to bring instruments, and there were like 4 banjo players and 2 flute players, all these drummers, and it was like a circle of like probably 9 people, and it was amazing. They were making a magical ruckus. It felt like just so full. And he was saying something like, yeah, even if it was only like, there were like maybe 10 people, but it felt, like it was good. It was a good thing. And I learned a lot. And I was like, only 9 people. Like, look, there's 9 people in front of us. This is amazing. It's a lot of humans, And yeah, I think like underestimating, or there's this like also sort of somewhat of an obsession with like scale and size, in the world in general. I think I feel encouraged by like all the souls that have been coming together and how we're all supporting and uplifting each other. And yeah, I'm excited for the amazing humans to keep coming together over the course of the next days and the next years and all of our lives. And I also did look on the analytics though, and in the last 4 days, like over 2,000 people have tuned in on the streams and stuff, which is pretty cool. Just gotta bring them in. Come on in, y'all. The water's warm. Come play. You too. Yeah. Thank you to the train for holding these visions, and thank you all for all of your care and visions and believing in this crazy wild shit. I think Bliss and I have some work to do to prepare for tomorrow alongside many more of you. So, but I'm too relaxed. Can you hear her? She said, I'm too relaxed. Oh, thank you all.
Loves, I'm on my way home and I just wanted to chime in. I've been popping in and out as I've been working in events on the green team, helping sort trash and recycling. And I just have to say, like, what a beautiful background to be able to listen in on all of the beautiful gifts that everybody from this day was bringing. I was like literally brought to tears in moments with Mark and John and Stroopy, and it was just beautiful. And I'm like geeking out with all of these other people today about like, I was like, you'll have to like jump in on this event, it's so good. It's like we're literally sorting trash and recycling and compost, and actually I was like wildly impressed by this event because the majority of the things that we took care of was compost. Like 3/4 of everything was compost, and I'm like, we're doing it, it's happening, it's so good. So anyway, so I just want to thank everybody for just like providing a beautiful like soundtrack to my trash sorting. So thank you.
Compost is life.
Amen to that. It's so real. Oops, Vincent's calling me. All right, loves. I'm gonna close the little stream here. Oops, I disappeared. And we can keep on keeping on. The train never stops, but I will close the stream. And this 4th day of our rising has been so filled with so many luminaries in this space, and I hope that everyone does rest well, whatever time of day it is for you, and you know, give yourself the space to feel into the beauty that is here, and the peace that we are, you know, calling forward in the world. And may this be a balm on your souls, and give you the opportunity to sleep well and nourish well and come back again tomorrow. Okay, Stephen, cue Stephen, go. Come on, you got this, Stephen. Oh, come on. Uh-huh.